Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Morgan, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new book, A Coin for the Ferryman by Megan Edwards. And oh my gosh, I love this book so much. The summary from the publisher is the story can now be told. In 1999, Nobel laureate Andrew Danacek gathered various intelligent scientific type people in California for a groundbreaking time travel experiment. While the rest of the world remained unaware, Julius Caesar was successfully brought from the day of his death to now. So, see, gripping, nice, everything. The plan was for him to go back within 4 days, but due to unforeseen circumstances, that did not happen. This book gripped me like right from the go. It's the first book in a while that I've had that I just did not want to put down. I had to end up also finding it in audiobook format so that I could keep going with it while cleaning the house, doing chores, checking kids, whatever. This way, I got to read it pretty much all day Sunday and finish it up Monday that fast. And I just finished a Stormlight book, which loved, but the pacing of it and her style it just made it to where I wanted to keep reading, and it was so fast to get through every chapter. Because I think Patterson style chapters, most of them are pretty short, and then there seems to be a lot of them. So really makes you want to keep going. You gotta know, right? This book is told from a whole cast of characters, but our main point of view that we see the most through is Cassandra. And besides Cassandra, maybe the one we see the most from is Julius Caesar himself, as you get to witness his thought process through everything that's happening and how his mind is just trying to make sense of what he's seeing, his surroundings. The book starts out in the past with Julius Caesar leaving on the Ides of March to go to his fateful date at the Senate. And by the end of the chapter, though, as he's like reminiscing while he was walking about things, he's seeing Venus, he believes. And then we jump to 2003. From there, we are now introduced to Cassandra's perspective as she's having a sleepless night and she grabs an older book that she's had. We now are jumping into actually reading the words from the book. And after reading these first events in the book, it goes back to Cassandra's perspective, and she's crying and she's saying, "I wish I could have told you, Pippa, to validate what you found." Cassandra has a really big heart. You'll see that time and time again through this. Also, things just generally seem to go her way, which is not really realistic as so much as a fairy tale-ish thing. You'll see where I'm going with that shortly. After ending with the tear-filled "I wish I had told Pippa," that we are now jumping back to 1998 from a younger Cassandra's perspective and really being introduced to her fully for the first time. How she is trying to work as a waitress in the casinos of Las Vegas enough to pay to finish college. She was a classics major and is multilingual. She speaks English, French, and even Latin. She can speak and read Latin, which is how she turns a very awkward situation into a blessing somehow. Like, realistically, this was a stretch that she just meets this really nice old rich dude who has made a fund for anybody in this particular place able to go to college and offers her a full ride to finish her degree. She gets to go to UCLA and enter back into the classics department under the student advisor position of a good friend of her former Latin teacher. He talks to his colleagues at UCLA and helps pave the way for her to get worked into the classics program and get help since she hasn't been a student for several years. They're so impressed with her, though, that they invite her to be part of the Ides Project, which is what the Nobel laureate Andrew Danacek started. It has been his lifelong passion and dream to see this project succeed. It all started from when he was a boy. It's his obsession, but he's been making it work. Before Cassandra came in, they have been working up to people tests on Tessa, which is what he has created to be able to time travel. With the introduction of Dr. Faith Hopper, they were given the idea for their phase 2 project of testing on a living creature to make sure that it was safe. Okay, so from the book summary, we already know that Julius Caesar will be brought back. So that's not a spoiler. I can put that here and then just put all my issues later, as that will be the spoilery part of the video. They bring Julius Caesar back, and immediately things though don't go exactly as planned. Like the classics majors, historians that can speak Latin, they imagine being able to converse with him, being able to learn from him, and instead he literally spits right at her feet. And then the fact that he actually won't answer questions or speak to them hardly, they go more with, okay, he's pissed and so as the summary also mentioned about the kidnapping, that happens on a planned tea party excursion that the funder of the project pretty much forced on Andrew Danachek. It's like, okay, either I'll be part of the IDES team at the lab while Julius Caesar is there, interacting with him there, or you can bring him to my home for a lovely garden party. She's a very nice old lady, but somebody should have drawn the line, because so many things could have gone wrong in so many other ways. But no, they do get to the garden party okay, and that is where though stuff goes wrong. Caesar's already been making like power play type moves. So one of these things though is how he ended up being in the perfect spot where the kidnappers were going to try to go after him. Julius and Cassandra end up being on the run from these kidnappers, and she has to pretty much protect him from the world and all the things he doesn't know, and try to get him back to the lab in order to get him back to the Ides of March in his own time to preserve the timeline and the world. So the whole way through, we're very action-packed, we're very fast-paced. Sometimes it does slow down and it provides a lot more emphasis on certain events and played them out longer than others. Now that we are into spoiler town, first big issue with the book came in. So they did the test and it was successful, but Faith becomes very upset because she believes that the dog, because it had been her dog, was drastically traumatized by it. Like she said, he was really scared when he got there, which probably was, because all of a sudden he was one place and now he's in somewhere completely different. Of course he's scared. But then when it was time to send him back, he would have no idea that that was about to happen. But all of a sudden he's acting weird again. And so she believes something very bad happened. But it never ever looks at that again. So from there though, Faith does not want to try it on humans. She believes it's way more problematic than what they believe at this point. And how is it that any scientific process though is only going to have one trial before being like, let's try this on a person? Yeah, no, there would be tons and tons of tests before they would even think to try it on a person, even a presumably, already dead person. No, nobody just jumps the gun like that. My second issue with the book was the kidnapping plotline. So this whole plotline came about because of Cassandra's professor, Dr. Elizabeth Holmes, who is also part of the IDES project. Her husband is a very famous coin dealer, but apparently they've been having a lot of money issues. And even though they signed this massive NDA about being able to speak about the project, she broke down and told her husband, and for some reason the man gets it in his head that kidnapping and selling Julius Caesar will solve his money problem. Like, what money thug is going to accept Julius Caesar instead of money? You can't communicate with man, you can't use the man in any form or fashion, really. Running from the kidnappers leads to problem 3. Cassandra starts to feel bad for Caesar, like seeing as like really maybe the IDES team isn't much better than the people who are trying to kidnap him, since they took him from his own time. He's very confused. He wasn't really able to go anywhere on his own. She's like, he probably sees us as kidnappers as well. She feels bad for him. She starts to pity him and stuff. And she also feels supremely like she's responsible for his care. She has to make sure he's happy all the time. She can't let him like wander off because she's afraid he's going to run away and that'll get him killed. But the man never tries really. And he actually starts to supremely respect her because 1, she can speak his language, and 2, she's trying so hard. He sees that. But yet, because she feels she has to keep him there, she decides at some point, while they were actually just having a heart-to-heart communication, that the best move, even though he hasn't tried to run away, he's opening up to her and actually telling her a story from his childhood, best move is just to sleep with him. That's gonna make him, stay there and not try to run away. Really? You had to go there? But then it does get kind of worse, because then it's like she develops feelings for him. So they've known each other for all of about 2.5 days at this point, and she's starting to develop feelings more than just pity. It's just like an attachment to him, a bond with him, Which, yes, okay, a compatriot bond, a friendly bond, a deep friendship bond even. But to say that she's like lovey to him in that short a period of time, just no, is completely unnecessary to make that part of the story have to happen. Just a deep appreciative friend bond would have worked, or camaraderie bond, that would have worked fine. The pacing at the end of the book did slow down a bit there. It's like they were rushing so much to meet this deadline to get Caesar back, but then it was also like chapters could be spent within just a span of a few hours. So it was a bit weirdness. Too much needless description or into the feelingsy bit. We don't need to know how we're feeling about or how guilty we are at least 6 times. Lastly, the issue I have is not with the book itself. It was with the audiobook narrator. His voice was just kind of droll. At first it was a bit of an issue. I didn't know if I would be able to do it. But then I just bumped the speed up more. And I was like, oh wow, this sounds like most books that I normally listen to at a lower speed now. And I was able to deal with it. He wasn't one of the people who inflectioned well between the different characters. Even with the issues that I did have with the book, I still gave it a 4 stars because it was that engaging and thought-provoking for the scientific-y bits and the memoirish type vibes that the book did give off. At several points, it was just very engaging. Yes, the science wasn't fully explained and it wasn't actually delved into that deeply, more just the idea behind it, which we also could have gotten into the idea a bit more. But it's cool. It still got me really into the book, even without the huge sci-fi vibes to it. I was still very, very wanting to keep going with the book all the way to the end. I thought it was very well done. Hopefully my issues with the book talk and other things I might have said that I didn't spoil it too much for those of you who want to go in without knowing as much. And I hope that a lot of you might end up picking it up because it was a really good read. I'm about to go have a super busy weekend, but fun times all around. And I'm hoping everyone else is out there enjoying a great book and having a good weekend themselves. I will talk to you guys later.